What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Week 8 Sunday live stream. I'm your host, Ben Haas. I'm joined by Sam and Anthony this week. I have alphaed Anthony and now taken over the hosting powers of the show.
Let's go.
So you don't have to listen to
I
him
love it.
talk about the
It
Browns.
really came down to a Derrick Henry versus Kamara decision. So Ben
Yeah,
lost.
we've been quietly talking about Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry for the last 20 minutes before starting this. So you guys can go ahead and start filtering your questions, and we'll talk about the slate a little bit before we answer them. If we don't answer your question, just repost it again. We will eventually get to it. Anthony, I don't think we haven't talked much since the cash process, so I'm curious your thoughts just on the slate. And I know you mentioned you're playing the most volume you've played in tournaments all season this week, which is hilarious because I don't even
Yeah,
really like the slate, but.
yeah, it's bad. I'm definitely degenning this week in DraftKings tournaments. I am getting suckered into the $1,000 tournament with a few of my GPPs. I'll go over my stacks, don't worry. But I'll leave that carrot dangling there because I don't want to give them away, and y'all leave the podcast right away. So we'll give you a few minutes to start getting in real quick. All of our content, obviously, projections portal. DFSkarma.com, core plays, our Discord chat. You can talk with the experts, all of us, all the sports, really, of course, NFL in specific. And then shout out to everybody doing hard work at betkarma.com. I have my live odds page open in front of me. We'll talk about, the Vegas stuff, a ton of the player prop stuff. We were talking in both Discord chats as well. And there's content and, of course, some of the tools and features that keep populating on that site. So, yeah, let's start getting into it. Obviously, we could talk wind, like everybody else, and that's definitely a factor. But, of course, if you were in our community, we've been talking about this all week. Yeah, I mean, weather is going to be an absolute factor today. The slate does suck in a vacuum, to Ben's point. But I do think it is. I've said this a few times this year. Maybe it's just a different type of year. Again, I feel like it's another great tournament GPP week, for all you 3 max entry people, 5 max entry stuff. DraftKings has some really nice tournaments where you don't necessarily even need to make, 20 lineups, 100 lineups, 150 lineups. So I do think there's 100% merit to stacking in some of these win games, or at least taking some of the pieces that you want. Like, I'm not afraid of it. I will say in cash games, of course, you probably should take that into equation. Ben and Sam, I'm sure you would agree with that. And, any 50-50 coin flip decisions in cash games, yeah, I would maybe try to figure a way out as best as possible with your quarterbacks and wide receivers to try and not to be in the games like in Cleveland, in Green Bay, in Buffalo. What else am I missing, guys, for the heavy win? I guess Cincinnati to an extent, but I'm not as worried, I guess, down there. So that's that. Obviously, running backs upgrade. We'll talk about pricing too on both sites because, just to lead off, I think Gio Bernard is tough to, essentially not play maybe on FanDuel Cash if I'm saying that correctly. I don't really want to play him, but again, I was looking at the props at Bet Karma this morning. He is projecting for 4.5 catches. I mean, that is at least a half a point on FanDuel. Receiving yards, 30 yards. So, you can kind of bake that in. He's just cheap on FanDuel. I don't really want to play him, but I'm kind of looking to go that direction to give more flexibility to really get into the night game or the afternoon game and just kind of, stack the San Francisco-Seattle game as much as possible. I know that's going to be a more popular play, but, that's the route I'm kind of going today. I probably will be losing until 4:30, and we'll see what happens in that game. But where are your guys' heads at? Sam, I'll go to you now. I guess real quick, we'll talk cash games and your thoughts on some of the tournament leverage stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ben said it. Ben kind of had in his building blocks, and it's funny. I mean, I was pretty set during the week. I was like, I'm just not playing Jimmy G, especially if it's going to be chalk. But, he's so cheap, and, it's tough to not value the matchup over, skill. And it's not like, oh, Alt, what's up, dude? It's not like he's like a horrible quarterback. He's just not of the top tier guys we normally like to play. So in cash games, that's probably where I'll go. My biggest, I guess, call it liabilities. We're talking Vegas talk is I right now have no Devontae Adams. I have no Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I'm probably buying into the narrative like a fish, but I keep hearing from a lot of people, and I've seen the updates. I mean, that weather is so bad, so I just don't know if I have any interest there. I think basically cash games comes down to 4 guys. I know you like Derrick Henry. I hate Derrick Henry, and I'll always play Kamara over him with receiving upside. So it's tough, but I mean, it's like I can't tell someone to like not play Derrick Henry because he just has so much. He might touch them. He might get 30 carries in this game, but yeah, I'm kind of trying to just evaluate what is. I think something I was telling to a member last night. I think it's important to kind of leverage, how much you bump down a quarterback or wide receiver for like bad weather, but then compare that with how much the ownership's going to drop, right? So like if they're expected to be 2 to 3% worse, but their ownership's going to drop by 10, it's a good leverage play in tournaments. Maybe not in cash, but I think you got to think about that before. It's like if everyone runs to fade the entire Packers game and like Devonta Adams, instead of being 30% owned, is going to be 15, then that's a pretty good leverage spot. So that's something I would think about when kind of making your last decisions.
Yeah, you nailed it, Sam. I was going to bring that up in the case of Adams. Like, we came into this week on Monday, Tuesday, and Adams was projected to be one of the highest owned players on the slate, and now I don't really think anyone is going to play him. At least, like, definitely not in cash, but he's going to be a lot lower owned than he was supposed to be, so I think he is a really good tournament play now. I have him in my main tournament lineup on both sites.
Yeah, again, I'll talk a little bit throughout the podcast. I am playing 4 GPPs this week in high dollar DraftKings tournaments, and you cannot not have an Adams lineup. And frankly, just throw Rodgers in there. Like, who cares that the winds are going to be 40 miles an hour? Like, just take the low ownership leverage. It was an amazing spot to begin with. Like, at the end of the day, if Adams is going to go off, so is Rodgers. That's kind of the way that I'm looking at it. Yes, you probably, quote unquote, theoretically are lighting money on fire with the wins in tournaments, but it is the only way to look at your DraftKings app at 7:00 and go, holy shit, it actually worked out, because a lot of the concentration, from a cash game perspective, will spill over into tournaments. We'll probably see a little bit more inflated ownership this week on certain guys in tournaments that we probably normally wouldn't see, I guess, on a week-to-week basis, if that makes sense.
Ben, we can move to a couple. I think I'm the only one who can see him. A couple questions. Yeah, first of all, it's up all. Obviously, Gaskin is an elite play. You get it. Someone's wondering Burrow, Green, or Jimmy G, Ayuk for cash. Yeah, I think that's going to be kind of a common one. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where you guys lean. I'd probably lean Jimmy G, Ayuk, but like at the same time, as much as I think Ayuk is an elite play, and I know it's one of Ben's favorites the entire week, AJ Green, despite the weather, is just so cheap, and he's receiving so much more volume than we even realize, even if he is a little dusty. So I would still go Jimmy G, Ayuk, but I don't think playing Green in cash is bad. I mean, I have him in cash currently, but I don't know where you guys are at.
Yeah, I would take the second one. Yeah, for sure.
And
I just think it's so important, like, especially the Jimmy G thing. I think the last thing I'll say, I heard on a podcast, and I think it's so accurate, where Shanahan kind of like, I think they always want to be pretty run heavy, but now they don't have I guess you could argue almost their top 2 running backs or 2 of their top 3. And he definitely changed the game plan based on the matchup. So, Seattle is literally letting teams against them run an absurd 76 plays a game. Now, I don't think San Francisco plays as fast some of the teams they've played, but I always say it's in all my articles, and I oversay it probably on podcast or on our podcast and everything, but opportunity is always the biggest thing. And if you have a team that's going to have 70 plus plays run against the Seahawks, and the Seahawks defense is bad, I would definitely target those guys in cash. Despite, Burrow probably being a better quarterback than Jimmy, and AJ Green maybe see more targets than Ayuk, I think the opportunity there is just too good to pass up. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on Gesicki and Le'Veon Bell? Le'Veon Bell will probably score. Fucking revenge game, dude.
Yeah, I'm playing Bell in one of my tournaments for sure.
I would rather bet Le'Veon Bell to score than I would play him in DFS, though, I think.
I would too. I wrote up Gesicki. I like Gesicki in tournaments. I don't think he's going to be owned, especially for getting leached hard 2 weeks ago. But at the same time, I'd be hesitant because not that the Rams D is not beatable at that position, but I mean, I don't know who Tua is. Maybe he doesn't have a favorite target. Maybe he does. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's going to walk on to Preston Williams, or maybe he's going to be Gaskin. We don't really know. So I like Gesicki if I'm building like 20 because I don't think he'll be more than like a couple percent owned, but I wouldn't prioritize him by any means.
Gaskin's cheap on both sites. We talked about it in Discord chat this week, and then it's verified by checking in the projections portal. He ranks third in the value column and like fifth overall in the karma rank. So Gaskin's probably a better play than people think. I even have considered him in cash games, to be honest. I mean, I really do want to go there, but I don't know if I ultimately am going to. But yeah, he'll be in one of my main lineups this week.
Berrios or Bourne in cash. It's interesting. I prefer Mims to Berrios. I think Ben does as well, but I will note that Berrios is probably going to be in that slot role and the Chiefs D is pretty solid, but they've kind of been not wrecked, but they've been pretty vulnerable to the slot. So I don't mind Berrios, although I still prefer Mims. I think between Berrios and Bourne, though, I'd probably go Bourne just because I think he'll see more snaps. If that makes sense.
I like Mims more than both of those guys.
Yeah, I do too. And
what if you're like me and you might play Mims and Bourne to be alive in cash?
Well, that'd be
scary?
Oh my God.
I actually considered that, but now that I know the ACs might do that, I'm definitely not. Fanos has a question for AC. Derek Carr single entry, or am I better going Rodgers or Burrow?
Man, I actually talked on the cash process. I loved freaking Carr coming into this week, and then I don't want to get sucked into the weather thing, but I mean, the Browns are terrible in the secondary, as we know, especially the middle of the field, which is where kind of Derek Carr makes his living. I mean, the leverage is Derek Carr. I don't think anyone's playing Derek Carr now. No one really talked him up, probably, I'm assuming, even throughout the week, because
it's funny. I would assume I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think Carr was like a chalk QB. But now with all this weather, I think he's going to be like under 5% owned, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, everyone is he's virtually the same price as Jimmy G, and I think Jimmy G might be like the highest owned quarterback on DraftKings. So yeah, like no one is playing Derek Carr. I'm not playing Derek Carr. I would rather play Rodgers in tournaments if you could make that sort of build.
Ben, convince me live on the pod to play Jimmy G on FanDuel over Russ Wilson, because as I told you before we went live, we know you don't need to talk to me about Russ. He's a god, but I just feel like Jimmy G. I know I'm playing him on DraftKings in my cash games, but man, I almost don't want to be exposed on both sites, especially where there's rushing upside needed on FanDuel. Especially the one thing I do keep thinking about, not to try to sway you, is with no theoretical rushing game, because we don't even know anyways, I think Russ is going to run more. I mean, that's just how I'm thinking about it. And on FanDuel, it's like you can probably project him for, honestly, 55, 60 yards rushing this week, the way that the running back situation is. I mean, that's just an extra touchdown on top of him probably shitting on Jimmy G as is for another extra touchdown. That's, say 12 points on FanDuel that you might need with the wide receiver kind of guessing game that tends to happen week. That's the only reason why I'm thinking about paying up for Russ on FanDuel. But I do agree, my lineup looks safer with Jimmy G on FanDuel. It's tough to swallow, because the scoring is different on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I think Russ is the smart play there. I think he'll be the highest owned quarterback for sure.
Ben, I'm asking you this. I'm asking only you this question because I don't want AC's take on it. What's your take on Baker Mayfield?
I probably would not play Baker this week.
Dude, I mean, beyond the fact that they now have less weapons, Odell and everything, I just feel like Baker. I mean, if they get up in this game, which is possible, Baker might only throw the ball 15 or 20.
Yeah, there's this interesting thing with the Browns where you have it's clearly set up as this game where they're just going to run the ball, but it was also set up like that last week. I know they got into a shootout, but Kareem Hunt is legit hurt. I haven't heard a single person talk about this. He has literally said he's hurt. And I pointed out to Anthony, you have to play him in cash. You have to. But he's hurt. And I told Anthony I'm not a huge prop bet guy in terms of my DFS research. I just don't think it's very efficient to count on that because it's really like that's the most profitable bets to make, right? Are prop bets. But so it's not super efficient to use that heavily in your research process. But I pointed out Anthony yesterday, his rushing prop's like 89 yards, and there's like heavy juice on the under 89 yards, which was like alarming to me, right? Whereas Derrick Henry's rushing prop is 99 yards, and there's like heavy juice on the over. So I don't know. It's a weird situation, but that would make it interesting to use Baker in tournaments, I think. But I just don't think I need him when guys like Rodgers are going to be low owned now. I'll just try and play them. Like Anthony pointed out, Mahomes. Like anytime you can get Rodgers, Mahomes, like low owned, I'll probably just take those guys.
Can I throw you a question? Two random guys, kind of season long, but also DFS. Like I'm really considering throwing McKinnon in a flex today in that one of the GPPs I got because I feel like he'll literally be 3% owned. I just feel like I know they kind of just literally quote unquote rested like NBA style McKinnon last week. They like him a lot, obviously, and you would assume he has to be involved in the passing game for at least 4 or 5 catches today. He's probably going to rush. I mean, 5,700, man. Like, I don't know.
Dude, no one's going to own him after the report came out that he has tired legs.
But that was 2 weeks ago when they rested him, right?
No, dude. I know, but I'm saying he came out like this week and was like, "I have tired legs."
Oh, God, that's so aggravating.
I mean, he didn't play.
Dude, I don't know.
When was the last time he played before this season? He should have tired legs.
I just like with running backs. Shanahan is like McVay. He's just an ass. Like you don't know who he's going to run the whole game.
I'm looking for
I like him as a
hammer in the flex position today. Something,
We already kind of says Bourne or Barrios Mims. I think we'd go Mims. I don't think Bourne's a bad play though. What are your guys' favorite wide receiver prices below Ayuk on FanDuel?
Oh man, I don't know if I currently don't have anyone below Ayuk in my FanDuel cash lineup. I think AJ Green is playable there as well. He's like 100 cheaper. There's no like glaring value of like where you would want to go below that though.
Anthony, give us a FanDuel punt.
FanDuel punt.
Yeah, we want an egregious punt.
Man, I don't know. I really wasn't looking at punts that much this week. Hold on. Go to the next question, and I'll come back to that.
This is kind of an interesting one, or not interesting, but I think it's kind of obvious. Bell or Cooper Kupp. I love Cooper Kupp in this spot. The Dolphins' outside corners are actually like quite good. I think Robert Woods is a tough matchup. Reynolds, whatever, he's a tough matchup. I think Cooper Kupp could. I think what's this guy's name in the slot? Ben? It's like Nick Needham. He's so bad. Like they could throw all from the slot. So I like Cooper Kupp a lot. Plus Bell, we don't know his volume.
So Anthony, to your point of when you asked me what's the case for Jimmy G on FanDuel, and I think like the Seahawks are just so banged up on defense, man. Like they're already horrible. Yeah. Like they're gonna be missing Shaq Griffin. They're gonna be missing Amadi, and I personally don't have any like sources on this, but I do not think Adams is gonna play either.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I think if Jamal Adams is out, it gives an even bigger bump to Kittle. Not that Kittle was not in a week.
No, yeah, it does. It does for sure. I know. I'm kind of tilting. I don't have Kittle on DraftKings right now. I have him on FanDuel. I was kind of tilting that, but
I think I got to play Kittle in cash. He's just too good. Okay, this seems like a season long. It's not main, but Brady or Tannehill?
Brady.
I'm an interesting question, honestly. Probably Brady though.
Yeah, I would play Brady. The Giants are horrible too.
Aguilar or Deontay Harris?
Wow. If you asked me that on Monday, it would have easily been Aguilar. I really liked Aguilar as a play on like Monday, Tuesday, but that's the guy that would be affected. Like he would be affected by the win because he is a deep threat. Yep. So I guess Deontay Harris.
For sure.
Is Bourne a better play than Ayuk on FanDuel TD upside?
No.
Oh no.
Ayuk is like Ayuk is the lock of the slate on FanDuel in my opinion.
Yeah,
at 5,900. That price is hilarious.
Here's why FanDuel is amazing. I'm laughing as I say this. He probably should be 100% owned on FanDuel.
Yeah, he should. Any percentage of people that don't play him is like that's a victory.
Ben, tell me if you expected this question, which is actually semi-decent one, if you at the beginning of the 2020 season. Bourne or Juju half-point
Oh
PPR?
my god.
It's like a legit question. And it honestly might be Bourne because Juju's going to have to deal with Marlon Humphrey, right? And that sucks. Juju's
Dude,
probably.
I can't believe it. I don't know. I guess Bourne. What is Bourne? Like Bourne's the classic guy that you like need to score a touchdown though. But
I agree. I mean, Juju, it's funny. People keep saying, like, I've heard multiple people tell me that Juju's kind of dust, which is so not
no,
true. He just
dude.
has, but his matchup is brutal. I think Humphrey's one of the tougher ones.
I guess Bourne. Yeah, that sucks.
Hey, is DK
James-
Metcalf going to troll everybody tonight?
Yeah,
You know, go
for
for
sure.
like
Why would
10
you
for
not want to play
fucking
if
100
everyone's playing
yards.
dude? That's how you have to play Seattle for the rest of the season. You just have to take the one
Yeah.
that's not owned. Like
James Conner or Ayuk season long.
wow.
That's
I'd probably
Is
go
it-
James Conner just because you got to go running back.
so.
I mean,
I will say Connor is probably one of maybe 5 like actual bell cows. Like he gets vultured by Snell, but other than that, like he probably plays some of the most snaps of any like.
You know,
running back.
I'm actually going to Bet Karma right now because I actually remember I'm clicking on the props game. Hold on one second. And I think I saw James Conner surprisingly popping in our Bet Karma.
He ranks high for me every week, and I play him every week, and he scores like 12.
Well, then you see him on hashtag on the tape, and he looks so slow. Didn't we talk about this 2 weeks ago? Like, I love the guy. I respect his whole like career and how he's done it.
Then season long 6-point passing rushing, Burrow or Jimmy G. I'd probably go Burrow. Actually,
Dude,
I'd still go Burrow.
Hey, Ben,
oh man, that's tough.
not to keep going back and forth on this Russ thing with Jimmy G, but I will say I do think that ultimately, obviously, is like the decision on FanDuel probably. I mean, you're playing DraftKings, you're playing Jimmy G there in cash.
Yeah, dude,
So,
this is like
why
a
not?
classic week on DK, man.
I wouldn't get double exposed to Jimmy G. That's the only thing. My brain keeps going back there. Like, whatever, Anthony, pay up at quarterback, which I don't like doing too much, but it's just I don't know, man.
I mean,
think
people
you gotta go
always Russ will be way high road. Like people always will spend up at quarterback. But I think
Your
sometimes
lineup-
that's an advantage though. Like when everyone spends up at quarterback, like you can get the extra other guy you
No,
wanted.
no, that's exactly how we think.
Yeah.
Who?
That's Mo Alley Cox. That makes Burton like not.
I was never playing Burn anyways.
I was gonna play.
I'm laughing because what? Who's playing any of those guys? What are you talking
Burton?
about? Who cares?
Burton was
3,500 without Cox. That would have been.
yeah. It's just
Sam
because
does go for some random plays. Love it.
it's just like I told you on the Game 3 pod, like he ran so pure. I played Burton in cash that 1 week he went off, and he ran so pure. Like I can't trust that again.
Speaking of randomness, to be honest, yes, I'm making fun of you, but at the same time, you do bring up good points. Why don't you just talk about that James White thing? I mean, that is an interesting stat. James White is the type of guy who wins Slate somehow, and he's 3% owned. I mean, I look at him.
I'm playing him in 1 just to make sure I lose. But like, I think it's someone. I think it was either it may have been Scott Barrett, but he was like, so 2018, and every game James White averages 19.1 points in each game Edelman's been out. So 4,500. I mean, I don't know. I've played much worse punts than that. That's for sure. All right, we're behind on these questions. Nobody talking Dalvin. Yeah, Alt, you're asking the right questions. I never really played Dalvin.
I've been talking Dalvin.
Yeah, someone actually said that, Ben. They're like, Ben's been talking to Dalvin all week, which is true.
Yeah, I had him as my favorite tournament play on Expert Picks.
Anyone playing Albert O? I don't know. I know Bales likes him. I probably won't.
I have him on one. I have him on one DK team because he's free.
Josh Jacobs worth a flyer, not for me. If you kind of look at his efficiency since week 1, it's like pretty bad because they don't want to throw him the ball for some unknown reason.
Okay, but okay, look, I don't want to really play Josh Jacobs, but Josh Jacobs is another guy that's touchdown or bust. Like if he scores a touchdown or two, will smash. But if it actually is kind of gross in Cleveland, Gruden is totally the guy that would just pound Josh Jacobs all game.
That
I
was
know.
my expert pick, my contrarian GPP, and somehow I'm not looking at him in any lineups right now, which I need to adjust.
Oh man.
FanDuel. Wow. Yep. I'm saying the right stuff. FanDuel. Brian or Burton. Yep. Everyone's talking about Burton.
No, I can't look. He scored a rushing touchdown, and
What a
then he
goat.
scored the direct play after T.Y. Hilton had a touchdown callback. Like, you cannot run any more pure than that.
Boy, Ben, here's a fun question. Another one you wouldn't expect if you have 2020. Amari Cooper or T. Higgins?
Oh boy. Yeah.
Still gotta go Amari.
I would probably
He's-
play
I
T.
think he's
Higgins, dude. Dude, who is starting
Amari
for
just-
Dallas? This guy sounds like a Formula One driver. His name's Danucci.
Dude,
What the
Ben
hell is
DiNucci.
that? I didn't even know who that
Sounds
was,
like
and I know
absolute-
everybody.
He's like an absolute wagon. He might be better than Mahomes.
I legit
Like
did
awesome.
not even really know who that was, and then I remembered he was from James.
Speaking
Madison.
which,
I was like, holy.
Both of you. Is
FYI.
Jonathan Taylor viable in FanDuel Cash?
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
would
playing
say
him,
so.
but I do think he. Dude, there's a ton of historical
considered
data
him.
about rookie running backs after their first bye week, and we just saw it with DeAndre Swift a couple weeks ago. Like,
Yeah.
I think this is the Jonathan Taylor week. I do think he's playable if you want.
And
Okay, DK Cash, Henry, Dalvin, Keenan, or Jamal Devontae Hunt? Probably the second one. No. That's a weird one. I'd probably go the second one. I'm not playing Dalvin in Cash.
Yeah, I would take the second one.
Rager Ruggs or Lindsey at flex. I'm probably not playing. I mean, with Lindsey in, I don't know. Melvin Gordon's still there, just mopping up 2-yard carries. So I don't know.
It's tough to trust Ruggs with the win.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a tough question.
Yeah, he's like all deep ball. It's kind of like, I don't know. Fant or Goddard? I definitely go Goddard. I think he's gonna be
Goddard's gonna smash, dude.
You can Kittle lock. I mean, it's hard to ever say anyone's a lock. I think they're in elite spots, but I mean, it's still football, so it's hard to say it's a lock.
Hey, am I a fish for playing Kendrick Bourne to be alive in cash games?
I mean, I don't know if you need two of those guys though.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like you said,
I was talking.
on
playing
FanDuel.
On FanDuel, I'm playing Kendrick Bourne to be alive on DraftKings.
Dude, Grafanos asked a question. It's so funny. This happens in my ranks every week about Naheem Hines at 4,000. It's so funny. He always ranks so high for me because he is so involved in the passing game. But since I'm all in on Jonathan Taylor this week, no, I cannot.
Dude, what? James White actually is probably a good tournament play. Look at the Patriots receivers, dude. I'm literally staring at this and I am like laughing.
Thank you. I put a joke in Discord. Their receiving core right now is
they have 4 receivers and 1 tight end active, and these receivers. This has to be the worst. This is like the worst receiving core I've ever seen in my life.
A man who goes by the name of Gunner, a man who goes by the name Jacoby, and a tight end whose last name is like part of a sick ass Jay-Z song.
Dude,
this
is
core
horrible.
is not.
Yeah, James White actually is probably a pretty good
Ben,
player.
I got a question for you. Talk to me about Marquise Brown. Like, I do consider still pivoting both my Bengals on FanDuel and going down to Gaskin and then maybe up to Marquise Brown.
I will play Marquise Brown every single week, and I will play him every week.
Dude, if you look at the Steelers D, they're really good. But if you look at, they give up so many deep plays. They're defense against explosive plays, which I think is 20 plus yards down the field. They're 6th worst. They give up deep balls.
All right, so we got another 10, 12 minutes left. Real quick, just going over my stacks. In my high dollar GPP entries, I'm going Russ Wilson stack with both receivers, Lockett and Metcalf. I'm going obviously Patrick Mahomes with Tyreek and Kelsey and another team. Rodgers to Adams, like I said, it's not a great play on paper because of the wind, blah, blah, blah. And then Burrow with Boyd, who Ben likes a lot, and so do I, and AJ Green in a stack game. So that's what I'm doing in my tournaments. GPP or cash games, I'm going Jimmy G, and then Russ on FanDuel.
Russ has got to be played on FanDuel.
Jimmy G season.
All right, what do we got here? Can you play Rager in season long? Yeah, depends on the rest of your team. But
I mean, if you're completely like, dude, I am
Yeah.
the biggest Jalen Rager fan. You will not find a bigger Jalen Rager fan.
it's
But if
bizarre,
you really
honestly.
need him, sure.
Melendez asks, which is offensive to me, Gaskin or Swift. Obviously, it's Gaskin. I do think Swift is a good play, though. He will not be owned.
Yeah, I would probably take Gaskin. Wait,
Adams,
so wait,
Gaskin.
real quick before you ask this, what are you expecting? Obviously, my boy Tua is starting today. What are you expecting, Sam? What are we gonna see
I don't know.
here?
I just think there's so much unknown. I mean, I'm encouraged by Gaskin's, as I put in my article, it's like consistent snap counts where I think, is Jordan Howard a healthy scratch again? I think he is.
Yeah, I don't know why he would be active.
Either way, but I can see, the Ram. I mean, it's a tough matchup for Tua to be starting out, and the Rams obviously have a real good front seven. Aaron Donald's a man, but like if if they're not throwing it deep, or if they want to kind of somewhat control the game with a new quarterback, I get to see a lot of checkdowns, and I could see him kind of relying on Gaskin a good amount. And I think to go along with that, it's not like the receivers have easy matchups either. You got Ramsey on the other side who's playing elite, who should, I assume, be on Devontae Parker. And then you have, who's going to be on Preston Williams? I don't know. I just think that the matchup for him is better than his counterparts. And I think that he could see a good amount of volume if Tua is getting a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
That's my take. Adams, Gaskin, or Lockett, Hunt. Ooh, that's a tough one.
I mean, the second would be the obvious cash one, but the first one could be for tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we really address it? Or I just kind of bring it up and then we moved on. But Kamara or Henry, DK Cash. I mean, we kind of brought it up.
God.
For me,
who asked this? Milan. Milan was debating me about Henry last night.
No, it's this guy named Ben. Ben, I think it's your burner account.
Is it my? Yeah, is it? It's an anti-Ben. It's anti-Ben. All right. Well, I'm playing Kamara, so then anti-Ben should play Henry, and then one of us will win. Anthony, I know, is playing Henry instead of Kamara.
I'm playing Henry, although I love Kamara. I'm going with Henry. I love the matchup. I'm going Henry.
Someone
throw some damn screens to him. Why can't they just fucking throw a couple screens at that guy?
I know.
I mean, is it that hard? He will bulldoze
every time, dude. I feel like every time they do throw a screen to him, he rips off like a 40-yard
Dude, yeah, it's so funny that Derrick Henry's receiving prop on DK Sportsbook is like 8.5.
Oh man.
Probably go under on that. Let's see. Mims or Higgins in cash? Mims.
Man, I hate not playing Higgins, but yeah, it's probably
What's
Mims.
the max amount you guys would stack in a GPP from one game? Yeah, I've told them. So my thing is always, it depends on the game, obviously. Like last week, Seattle, Arizona, you could probably have taken 5 guys and it would worked out pretty decently. Well, assuming DK wasn't just shut out. But I normally like to take no more than 4. I think an interesting way to stack is, instead of going quarterback and his 2 pass catchers and running it back with 1, is if you have a super concentrated, it's like say you have like Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, you're getting so much of the points already. You can do like 1 guy and then run it back with, if you say Thielen and Jefferson. So for me, my max is normally about 4 guys in one game.
No, that's just exactly how I am.
It's just hard. It's just hard to imagine 5 guys like hitting massive value or their ceilings in one game.
To be honest, I never really feel like I'm in the running for a good GPP when even I just stack like 1 guy. Like I get it. Like yes, that's the term of the stack, but I just prefer to go more all in. I mean, that's how I had that huge win earlier this year with the Cowboys-Falcons game before the book was out on the Falcons. I mean, I had 2 wide receivers from both teams, and obviously the quarterback.
No, I agree. I mean, not to say it doesn't work. Like that game. If a game, say a couple of years ago that was on the main slate, like that Rams-Chiefs game that went like 55, 52. I mean, yeah, obviously there's a lot of plays there, but I just think more likely than not, it's hard to, from a probability standpoint, having all those guys go off. Let's see. With 1,100 left, upgrade Hunt to Henry or upgrade defense. I'd always upgrade a running back, but I don't know if that's an upgrade really for cash.
Ben, did Tua throw a lot to the running back in college?
Tua just slings the rock, bro. That's just like,
Ben, do you upgrade Hunt to Henry or upgrade your defense?
is it on DraftKings?
He did not specify, but I assume.
Okay.
I would.
I mean, yeah. So if you're sitting there and you love your team and you're like, I have X dollars and I can either move my defense up or I can move Hunt to Henry, I would probably move Hunt to Henry.
Man, I just saw a commercial for Taco Bell. It looks so good right now.
Bro, I got that. I got that nacho thing the other day, and it was bad.
That's disgusting. Any love for Allen Robinson or Herbert? Yeah, Herbert continues to be just underappreciated.
Bro, please play Herbert. If you guys are watching this, please play Herbert in a tournament lineup. What else does he have to do, man? I mean, and they actually the biggest thing is this is the first time Anthony Lynn has ever done this. They shifted more to passing on first downs last week, and he absolutely shredded on first down. So if they do that again this week, he's just going to smash again. And literally, the guy has dropped like 30-plus fantasy points almost every game, and no one's playing him.
Yeah, but Ben, the problem is since it worked, Anthony Lynn will probably go back to something else.
Yeah, but he still was balling before that against like actual tough defenses. So you have to play Herbert in tournaments, I think.
Ben, gun to head. Matt Gaskin or Gio on FanDuel. This is like one of my final debates because I really feel like I want to play Gaskin.
Is it in tournaments?
No, my cash game roster today. On FanDuel.
You probably just play Gio, man. Because he's going to be chalky. So if Gaskin sucked, you're going to be behind. But if Gio sucks, like it's really not going to matter because everyone's playing him anyways.
Do you guys play? This is a good question. Montgomery or Bernard? Dude, Montgomery is so bad. He's terrible.
Yeah, that's tough. I would probably play. That is a tough one.
I'd say Gio.
Yeah, I would probably play Gio.
Is Coleman a cash lock being the minimum? No,
I'm not. I don't even know, like, really if he's gonna play much.
Ben, someone wants to know what you said about Higgins. I don't remember.
I really wanted to play Higgins, but I mean Mims is $1,000 less, so you kind of have to.
I'll tell you
him,
what.
But
speaking of Higgins, like if the weather wasn't crazy this week,
I'd be
obviously
locking
he would have been more
him in.
popular.
I'd be locking.
But for what it's worth, Ben, and you know this, like this is now the game. I feel like, and again, it just sucks because it is. I'm looking outside and trees are bending over right now in downtown Cleveland. I live like a half a block from the stadium. So it sucks, but Landry should theoretically eat. Like he should. Like even before there was Beckham, remember it was the Landry show. Even though we call him whatever a slot receiver, I mean he is a baller. He's not as injured as he was. He's kind of been open about that, and I feel like there's this brotherhood. Obviously, he's boys with Beckham, but like him stepping up today, he always has that weird upside of the reverse pass touchdowns. I mean, I know you can never factor that in, but they like run that play a lot the last couple of years. He's got probably one of the best arms in the league. And then he's got like one of the better matchups like on the slate and kind of nobody's talking about it. He should see an increased target share. Like I like Landry a lot, especially in FanDuel. I keep looking at his price. I don't think he's going to be really owned. I mean, maybe that's the one guy I get a little bit weird with in my cash game roster on FanDuel.
7 of Higgins' 9 career touchdowns were thrown by Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm so sick of us talking about that.
I know. Dude, did you see this Gardner Minshew's not going to play next week?
I was about to bring that up as well. That's hilarious.
What is the point?
Minshew is such a goat. I mean, are we really saying Mike Glennon is better? Because I do not think so.
I don't know what they're doing.
All right, let's do like 7. Just
rapid fire me. Let's go. Let's go. Do it.
Analysis. Okay. Better cash or GPP? GPP.
No and no.
AJ Green, Keenan Allen, or Lockett, Bourne, DK Cash.
First one
for me.
Yeah.
Which chalk running back are you playing Taylor over? I'd play Taylor over Hunt in tournaments.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that in cash, but tournaments
just
you
like
can play
it'll
over
be
Hunt.
10% versus 30% maybe.
Yep.
Higgins or Rager? Oh, Ben, your heartstrings.
Oh my God. That is a tough one. is this like season long? I would probably say Higgins.
It was not specified. Yeah, I think I'd say Higgins too. DK Cash, Ayuk, Waller, Lockett, Henry, Ayuk, Waller.
Yeah, first one.
Man.
Favorite value on the slate. I don't know which site, but I think DraftKings. Honestly, it's Keenan Allen. He's the 15th most expensive wide receiver for some unknown reason.
Yeah, Ayuk on FanDuel.
Yeah, exactly. Williams, Hunt, Jacobs for DK Cash. I would not play Jacobs, but that's just me.
Yeah, don't play Jacobs. I like so if you were gonna do that, I would rather play Taylor than Jacobs if you're doing that.
Hey, sorry to interrupt, but shout out to the optimizer, which you can buy on the website dfskarma.com in those like nanoseconds. I literally just made 149 lineups on FanDuel, and it's so easy. I mean, this is why I love
with 149. Why don't you make 150? I just don't understand.
And you locked in Jonathan 150 Jonathan Taylor lineups.
That's crazy. Nice.
So right now, again, I'm just talking to the people. It's so easy. Like you make the correlation somewhat high, right? Because some people ask, how do you do it? I'm looking at there's only 3 things you really can toggle with. Yeah, I like to put the correlation a little high. It depends on you, the player. For the ownership button, I kind of leave it in the moderate, the number 3 slot, because it'll fade some people and you can adjust. And then the smart diversity, I kind of put back up even a little bit higher to make my lineup somewhat random because I know I'm going to quote unquote lose when I enter MME style. But yeah, it spits it out literally instantaneously. Then you just download it and upload the lineups to FanDuel or DraftKings. So check out the optimizer. It's good stuff.
And Trent Brown is inactive. Myles Garrett might get 100.
I have Brown's D as a lock on DraftKings at 2,600. Bad weather, banged up offensive line.
I'm probably still playing Dalton 0. Oh, Ben, I forgot. CJ asked this earlier for you. Burrow or Jimmy in season long 6-point touchdown.
I know, man. That's like a popular debate I've been getting, or a popular question.
I think I would honestly still play Burrow.
I would probably play Jim. I cannot believe I'm saying this. I think I would play Jimmy for this week only. If the offensive line was healthy, this is not a discussion.
Favorite DK tournament stack? Mine is the Ravens, Steelers.
Yeah.
No one's
Rodgers, Adams, run it back with Justin Jefferson.
Mine's the Chiefs with Tyreek and Kelsey.
Ty Scum, yeah, that's a good stack too. Adams, Gaskin, or Lockett, Hunt. I think we just did this one, but Lockett, Hunt. Or actually, GPP, Adams.
First
Gaskin.
one for tournaments.
Dude, this is the third question I've got about Beasley and Cash. No.
Dude, this is how you know. Wait, when someone comes on this stream on Sunday morning and they're asking us about Cole Beasley, that's how you know that person's been watching this for a while. Yeah, I love Ben, you. Whoever asked that, I love you.
Twisted. If you're asking, like, Ben and I could not, we literally were the founders.
Yeah,
of the Cole
I mean,
Beasley
how many
thing.
we played Cole Beasley and Cash like an egregious amount of times last year. Yeah,
more than one.
Including on that glorious Thanksgiving Day slate when he scored a touchdown. It was great.
Do I have to pair Jimmy G with one of his receivers in Cash? I mean, you don't have to, but if he's going to have a good game, that would mean it's receivers.
Yeah, you don't have to, but I would probably want one of Ayuk or Kittle.
Is Devontae a must for Cash, even in the wind? No. He's just so expensive. I mean, honestly, if he put up 40 points again, would I be surprised? No.
Yeah, he won't be owned like he was last week to where if you didn't have him, you were just kind of done.
Josh Jacobs, cat chalk? No, he will not be chalk at all. He always gets more ownership than I think.
People keep asking about him. Who is pumping him up? Someone out there is severely pumping up Josh Jacobs. Yeah. I want to know who it is.
Are you guys playing Seattle backfield? I'm just avoiding it because we don't know anything yet.
Yeah, that's something that you could. So that's something you could use in tournaments to like late swap onto.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
In terms of like my main lineup or anything, you just have to avoid it because we just don't know.
Like I will say, if Carson gets named like active like before the game, he will not be owned by legitimately anyone.
No,
like not a single soul. Oh, it's awesome. I'm talking about Jacobs. That's why.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say someone had to have been pumping him up because everyone was asking.
Jamal Williams, DK Cash, absolutely. I think he's probably between him and Keenan Allen are probably the best values in the slate, even at 6,100. What else? All right, Ben, should we get AC's horrific hot take for the day?
Yes.
It's not the Browns winning.
Yeah, give me one.
My hot take is
That has nothing to do with the Browns. Yeah,
I just feel like you have. I feel like you have to have a chief stack in GPPs, considering the entire slate. Obviously, it's good every week, but it seems to be one of those island better games. And yeah, I mean, you could be literally dead in tournaments because they're going to be owned a little bit, you know. And if they go off, which they should, they're implied for like 35 points, then you might be dead.
Yeah. I think my hot take is someone from the Dolphins Rams is on the making winning lineup.
By the way, go ahead, Ben, with your
Jonathan Taylor, 200 rushing yards.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Hold on, I gotta upgrade him in the optimizer projections right now.
I'm all in, baby. This is what I've been waiting for all season right here.
So FYI, for people out there getting used to the projections, like all I'm doing to kind of upgrade what I want out of him is I'm manually entering a couple extra points in the projections column, and it'll naturally boost his ownership. I know they're coming out with different ways to do it on the back end that'll keep updating, over time here, but that's something I do for a quick fix. And then I did want to end this podcast with this, Ben. This is on FanDuel. Using the optimizer, 149 lineups, because my one lineup's a cash game so far. Jimmy G spit out is the number one guy by far. And I mean, yeah, he's going to be owned, but it is interesting. The machine learning algorithm is projecting Jimmy G as a great value, kind of just to confirm that as well, which I think is interesting. But a lot of Mahomes spit out too. But I'm going to mess around with this. Enter in. You can check out the lineup optimizer, the tools, projections portal, core plays, of course, all of our content, and then you can hop in a Discord chat. Everything is under this big, huge subscriber button at dfskarma.com, and same thing over at betkarma.com. That's it, guys. I think that's all we got. 12 o'clock. It's time to finish making lineups, updating our core plays, and good luck this week. We'll